Hello vac fans, and today we're going to do a whole house cleaning with a Dyson DC65 Animal Complete. This machine was $700 retail with all the goodies in 2015, and as far as I can tell this looks like about a 2015 model. So some features that we have is a higher level of cyclonic action compared to the DC25. This is a larger ball. Supposed to be a slightly more powerful motor, but when I put it on my airflow box, I get about the same results, very similar, like within 10% of a DC25. You've got the power button here, and you got brush bar on and off there. And down here, this is actually the lowest airflow that I've measured from my 3 Dysons. I have a 14, a 25, and a 65. This one is the larger head, so the airflow density is lower. I measure 52 CFM on my airflow box from this particular nozzle. And Dyson on YouTube says that this particular head back in 2015 was the highest suction machine they ever made. And based on what you see in the video, it looks like about 56 inches of water lift. So very, very high suction, which if you visited my channel, you know that suction doesn't really correlate to cleaning very well. So we've got a good clean bin here. I always thought this was kind of interesting. They have this seal that just kind of flaps out here in the open. You know, it's a new way of doing that. Also, they pull a lot of the airflow right through the top of the ball because you got a hole here in the bottom of the bin. Alright, so without further ado, let's start vacuuming. And in the end, we'll see just how much this picks up, and you can compare to how much the DC25 picks up. Because I vacuum about every 4 days. Oh, by the way, the cord on the DC65 is a lot longer than the 25. I think the cord on the DC65 is like 40 feet or close to it, which is wonderful. Very maneuverable. Of course, you can get right into the corner by just twisting. You know, just go ahead and just twist. Very handy. Just like the Kirby, you can kind of get a few inches of that nozzle in there. Or I suppose you can get some underneath. Well, it's not too bad. Doesn't go under low furniture, obviously. swivel edge. Let's see if I can put this directly on here. I could do it with the 25. The 65 is a bit bulkier. So let's see what happens. So far I don't have any of these little white pieces of fabric getting in the brush roll just yet. We'll see how many of them it rips off of this covering for the doggy bed. Yeah, not too bad. It works. Well, I'd call that a success. Looks like it works. And I don't see too much stuff stuck in the brush tufts right here. Not that I can see. So let's keep going. Alright, so do you think I'd use a DC65 on this type of material? I don't want to. Maybe it'll work, but I can't say I'd recommend it. I've never done it. That bristles right there are actually fairly stiff in that brush bar. So I'm going to use this instead. Alright, that's probably enough of cleaning the couch, but this works very well. And it's also pretty quiet, but you've got to use two hands for the hose in order to keep the vacuum from hitting you in the leg periodically. If you ever make this thing seal up a little too much, it'll move the vacuum. One of the things you need to do when you put this thing fully upright, you pull the handle down, or rather you kind of push, and then the handle comes down, the vacuum reclines. But when you go to push it back up, you have to push it real hard so it clicks. If you don't do that, then this just kind of falls down. It's a common problem with the 65s, and every 65 owner knows it. So you have to do that second click, and then it won't fall. Okay, so far, just for the second floor, we haven't done the first floor yet, that's what I've picked up. So I wonder, after we do the downstairs, will that be the same, more, or less than a 25? Let's find out. do this doggy bed. Alright, did doggy bed number 2. This is couch number 2. Alright, let's take a look at this thin rubber back mat, like we've done in other videos. See if the 65 can handle it without chewing it up. Pretty good. So it's pretty good, but it's right on the limit of picking it up, but it does work. that concludes full house cleaning of the DC65. We'll take a look at the contents of the bin here in a second. Alrighty, here's the post-mortem of what the DC65 Animal Complete got out of my carpet after about 4 days. 3 humans, 1 short-hair boxer dog. And I think that looks pretty similar to what the DC25 got. I can't say that there's that much of a difference. Maybe there's a little more fuzz, maybe there's a little less fine dust, whatever it is, but it's something that's fairly similar, I suppose. So, you have this kind of a filter here, and this one never gets dirty. I mean, it just doesn't. It might get smelly, but it never gets dirty that I can detect. And the cyclones, see, it's a little hard to see in there. Let me see if I can get a little more light. There we go. Yeah, there's not really much in there. I mean, there might be a tad bit of fine dust, just a little itty bit. And here's what's in the other side of the cyclones. So I can hold this up and see it. There's definitely fine dust in there. So that'll have to be washed out or blown out periodically for sure. And these little screens, little fine mesh screen, there's a little bit extra right there. Get that off and add that to the pile. Didn't exactly make a whole lot of difference. So anyway, here's a whole house cleaning of a DC65. And if I take a look at the brush bar, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of stuff to pick off. There might be a human hair, long human hair or something like that in there, but I'm not seeing a whole lot. So overall, I think that does pretty good. So what do you think? Like, comment, and subscribe. Want to hear from you. Until next time, happy vacuuming.